All right, so we're diving deep today. Ready?
Ready when you are.
Okay, cool. So we're looking at Elif Shafak's 40 Rules of Love.
Love it.
Right. Specifically, Rule 23, which a listener, shout out, sent our way.
Oh, nice. Always good to get listener input, what they latch onto.
This whole God's delegate concept, which I gotta admit, even reading it solo, had me thinking pretty hard.
Yeah, it's a heavy one for sure.
So for anyone just joining the party, 40 Rules of Love isn't like a how-to guide, thank goodness.
Definitely not your average self-help book.
More like each rule is a jumping off point, to ponder life, love, all the big stuff.
Which is what we're doing here, essentially.
Exactly. And this rule, this delegate thing, that's a heck of a springboard.
For sure. So how about we unpack what Shafak's getting at with this whole delegate business?
Okay, so when I hear delegate, I think like responsibility, someone entrusted with a mission.
Right, exactly. And not just any mission, right? She's saying we're entrusted by, well...
Capital G.
Exactly, which instantly elevates the stakes. It's not just about being a good person. It's about embodying something bigger.
Which honestly can feel kind of daunting. Like, am I living up to that?
It's a big question, for sure. And the excerpt our listener sent, it really digs into that feeling, right?
Yeah. Especially, I think, now. With everything happening in the world, it's easy to feel powerless.
Absolutely. And that's where this idea of being a delegate can be so potent. It's a reminder that we're not just along for the ride. We have agency, we have a role to play, even if we don't always see the immediate impact.
So how do we square that,
Right.
Feeling small, but also like we've got this huge purpose.
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's not about suddenly having all the answers or becoming some kind of superhero. It's more about the day-to-day, the small choices, the interactions, how we move through the world.
I like that. Makes it feel more manageable. Less about grand gestures, more about showing up authentically.
Right, exactly. And when you think about it, those small actions, they ripple outwards. Like how we treat that barista, even if they're having a rough morning, that matters. It sets a tone.
Totally. It's like that quote, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
Suddenly, even grabbing coffee has cosmic significance.
Right. But seriously, it's about the intention behind our actions. Are we acting from a place of connection, of compassion, of that breath of God that Shafak talks about?
Oh yeah, that image. Breath of God. It's so vivid.
It's powerful, right? Makes you picture those old paintings, God touching atoms, sparking life.
Exactly. Like we carry that spark within us from day one.
And it's not something we earn, it's inherent. Just by existing, we have this connection to something larger than ourselves.
Which, again, can feel like a lot to live up to.
For sure. But I think that's where the idea of being a delegate comes in. It's not about being perfect, it's about striving, about asking ourselves in any given moment, what would a delegate do?
Love that. So it's not about judging ourselves for not being perfect delegates, but more like using that question as a guidepost.
Exactly. A way to check in with our intentions, to see if our actions are aligned with our values, with that inner spark.
And that final question in the excerpt, how often do you behave like a delegate? That's a good one to end on, don't you think?
Absolutely. Because ultimately, it's not about achieving some perfect state of delegateness. It's about the journey, the striving, the constant learning and growing.
And maybe, just maybe, by embracing this idea of being delegates, by trying to embody that divine spirit a little more each day, we can actually make a difference in the world. One small delegate-worthy act at a time.
I love that.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And it shows you the power of Shafak's writing, right? One rule can spark all these amazing internal conversations.
For sure. Definitely something to ponder.